You wake up in the perfect neighborhood. Sun shining, trimmed lawns, white fences in order. Everyone greets you with a smile. Everything's fine. It's fine, right? Fallout 3's Tranquility Lane doesn't scare you with jump scares or gore. It gets under your skin with uneasy perfection, a demand for unwavering conformity, or else. And what makes it truly haunting is that it echoes from reality. It reflects a real time when America was crawling back from one of the darkest periods of our history. Let's explore why this neighborhood's creepiness feeds on the scars of our collective memories. Scars we should never forget. After entering an experimental pod looking for your father, you regain consciousness, woken up by a cheerful, peaceful tune. The black and white grain of the screen makes you feel part of a Leave It to Beaver episode, but the loss of color also gives it a sorrowful tone, and an unsettling one. NPCs greet you with stainless enthusiasm.
What can I do for you, sport?
Here, the limitations of the game's dialogue coding are actually an asset. The repetitiveness in the neighbors' greetings reinforce this sense of robotic and forced conformity. As a matter of fact, the NPC's pathing, their behavior, their fixed expressions, all those coding limitations serve the one goal: disturbing you. Houses are lined up around a roundabout playground. All of them are the same. Absolutely and perfectly the same. Not a deviation in sight, even inside. When you zoom out of your character, you also realize that you're not yourself anymore. You're a little boy. You lost your sense of adult agency and means of defending yourself. You lost control. But it's alright. Who would need defending in such a place anyway? You meet a little girl named Betty, another child, smiling, daring you into strange tasks. From the very first words, something feels wrong. She asks you to make young neighbor Timmy cry. It sounds childish, until you realize how much she enjoys watching. Who is this little girl? In order to succeed in that quest, there are multiple ways to go about it. Lunatic ways, in Fallout fashion. You can convince him that his parents are divorcing. You can also make him believe that he's to go to military school, or straight up punch him in the face. Cruel and controlled. Because Timmy is then turned into a garden gnome, silenced, harmless, decorative. The game avoids showing the death of children, yet Tranquility Lane finds a loophole. The innocence it protects is only cosmetic, a porcelain smile over something hollow. Children being removed is also a bad omen. Nothing prevents unfiltered violence anymore. Yet this darkness is still wrapped in the cheery absurdity of a 1950s sitcom. It's precisely that fine line between macabre humor and real danger that is so unsettling. Your brain is hesitating between the two, and in a dangerous situation, your brain knows that hesitation can be fatal. It does not like it. Thankfully, it's fine. Betty's just teasing, right? She's a child. She doesn't understand. It's fine. It's not like anyone's dying. Until it is. Betty asks you to kill. First one resident, then all of them. With a knife and this creepy mask, chilling. And that's when the illusion shatters. Betty is Dr. Braun, the simulation's creator, a scientist turned god, toying with lives trapped in his perfect world. His voice reveals itself out of nowhere, and then Betty's voice will alternate between the scientific torturer and the innocent child, strengthening that uneasy line between normal and not. How many times has he replayed this world, toying with them just to feel something? The game doesn't let you forget your part in it either. Every time you obey, your karma drops. Even the code itself condemns you. There is one last hope. An old woman, old lady Dithers, knows the truth. This is a simulation. She's been trapped here for decades, conscious, terrified. She tells you how to break free. You must venture into the abandoned house, the one touch of non-conformity that no one dares to approach. Enter a hidden code, access the failsafe, and end it all. Each time you get a step done in that endeavor, the music lowers in pitch, getting more and more depressing. Hurry, the simulation itself knows what you're doing, and so does its creator. If you manage to escape the doctor's claws, your father is freed when you wake. He was trapped in this world too, as a dog. The doctor is then left alone to reflect on the meaning of boredom and loneliness in an apocalyptic world. But the failsafe doesn't simply end the program. It triggers a simulation of a Chinese military invasion. Sounds random, but it's not. Not at all. It's the final mass falling off Tranquility Lane, and the key to its real-world horror. Tranquility Lane is a twisted parody of America's 1950s propaganda. In the terrible aftermath of World War II, the country was left with an open wound, a desperate need for control after witnessing the most inhuman chaos humanity could offer. A scarred population terrified at the idea of war again. And when people are terrified, they reach for reassurance. That's when government propaganda steps forward. It spreads a message through every medium: TV, comic books, newspapers, newsreels. The perfect, happy, nuclear family. The man is going to work, smiling. The woman tending the home, smiling. The children are behaving, smiling. The perfect little house behind the perfect little white fence, smiling. Always smiling. It was a facade, one that demanded conformity. For economic reasons for a large part, sure, but not only. Because beneath the surface, America was trembling. McCarthyism, the Cold War, the silent paranoia that your neighbor could be the enemy. Conformity wasn't just a social norm, it was survival. Even being accused could mean a synonym of guilt. And the cracks in the perfect facade were already there. Alcoholism, domestic abuse, anxiety, the things that no one dared to talk about. In the 1950s United States, at its peak, 560,000 people were institutionalized. A study found that in the early 1950s, a high rate of Manhattan residents, 81.5%, reported signs and symptoms of mental distress in surveys. Everyone kept up appearances because behind those smiles was a colossal fear, the memory of loss on a worldwide scale. A burn that never truly cooled, especially with nuclear heat on the horizon. That's why Tranquility Lane is so deeply unsettling. It sets fire to your roots, to your ancestors' barely stitched scars. Dr. Braun is the perfect embodiment of that 1950s control, the smiling tyranny of authority. He embodies one of the hidden fears haunting post-war America. What if I give up my freedom for nothing? What if the promised safety is a lie? Paranoia reborn, but with a smile. Just like in Tranquility Lane, where no one dares to step out of line, even as you commit the most twisted acts before their eyes. Fear becomes control. Control becomes peace. When you finally leave the simulation with your father, the doors to Tranquility Lanes are closed forever. But the wound it represents, that never really seals. It still runs deep, a quiet pulse within the Western society's veins. This historical abyss explains why a single simulation in a wacky old video game can feel like staring into a bottomless pit, one that's been waiting patiently for you to look down. So yes, everything's fine. Why? because it has to be. Otherwise, you'll fall. That's Tranquility Lane. Are you ready to look closer?